Who's the nerdiest looking guy in jiu-jitsu?
Probably Musamichi, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty unanimous.
He's probably the geekiest one. Like you'd want to copy off his grades, like off his test. I'd be the guy I'm sitting behind.
Yeah, Musamichi does look like a giant dork. I wouldn't go with him though.
He's tough. He's ripped.
He'd murder me.
There's so many good people right now. It's only going to get better. Can you imagine?
Weird? Like, well, if you think about like back in the day, to be a blue belt 20 years ago was like, oh my God, that guy's awesome. He's legit. He's a blue belt. A Brazilian gave him his blue belt. Can you believe that? And now there's blue belts. You know, you go to a tournament, you watch blue belt division, you're like, oh my God, they're doing everything I just finally leveled up to.
Yeah, a lot of that's due just to the information that's out there now. Before you had to travel around, go make friends with someone that was good with a move.
Yeah.
Now you can just watch it over and over again and rewind it, fast forward it, slow motion it, watch it over and over. And you couldn't do that before. You had VHS tapes. You'd break your tape if you did that.
You'd be watching Murillo Bustamante VHS tapes,
Watch
Mario Sperry.
Yeah, I have all the tournaments from back in the day. I should put them on DVD on VHS. I got them all the way through from 93 in Brazil, all the way through to like 2000 at the Brasileiro de Equipes. It was the team championships, world championships.
Now, in that brings up something kind of funny. Like, I was on the
Gracie Baja team.
As a purple belt.
As a pro belt, and then I was the only one that won my match that one, so we lost. So I think it was like 5 people on the team. They had a lightweight team and a heavyweight team. And whichever team won 3 matches advanced.
Okay, so best of 5.
Yeah, best of 5. And that was cool experience. You got a Brasileiro de Equipes. It means Brazilian team championships. Then you had the national championships. I have all those on. Because my best friend in Brazil, my best friend was Paquetá, and he would film everything. He was Carlson's best friend. And Carlson Gracie told him, hey, we need someone to film. And then he started filming. But eventually, I forgot what company it was. They took over the World Championships and they booted him. He was pissed. He didn't do it for the money. It was just, that's what he enjoyed doing.
Love for it, yeah.
I forgot what company it was, but it doesn't matter. But they're not even around anymore.
That's how that goes.
And now it's Flow Grappling. But Paquetá was the Flow Grappling. And you had to buy it on VHS. You'd go to his house. And then he'd go to all the gyms. Every day during the week, he'd show up to a different jiu-jitsu academy. And he'd have all the tapes in his trunk. Like, oh, Paquetá's here. And you'd go downstairs.
That is so cool.
And he'd pull them out. And he'd just look at his tapes and want to get them. And they had all of them, the no-gi ones, the gi ones, all of them, all the championships. So as soon as the championship came out, Paquetá would have them.
That's so cool, though.
So cool. So
that's like an experience to have it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, anytime there was a championship, he's showing up to your gym the next week.
That's so cool.
With all the... And then he would sell like the finals matches, but I was friends with him. I have a bunch of the regular matches that led up to the finals. Because most of the time they'd only sell the finals. So on the videotape, you would just see the final matches. What
was the circumstances for you being like a purple belt on that team? Not just purple, but a purple belt gringo. Like, what did you do to prove yourself that
I'm
you're
in
like,
the book
I'm
the
on
Gracie
that spot?
way. I'm in the book. The book is pretty cool. I was doing well. Like I was in Brazil. I had a few good moves. Most of the other Americans that came after, they were there to party and stuff. And the Brazilians say, no, we like you. You're here to train. And I would train with Roger Gracie and all these guys. And I was from Carlson Gracie when my team split apart. So when we went to Gracie Baja, I made friends with them. And then from Gracie Baja, I went to Oswaldo Alves, who's part of Gracie Baja. And that's where I started doing a lot of wristlocks and all these drills. Train with Andre Galvao and all these guys. But now it's just different. Now it's like, it's beyond drilling. This is like, there's heel hooks and stuff. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to drill jumping out of heel hooks. So now it's a lot more specific training. And then talking, too, about the positions.
Yeah, that's something that's way different is not just the availability of information on how to learn, but there's been people coaching this now for so long. Coaching has gotten very efficient.
Yeah.
We're way past the days of someone going, guys, look, grip here, boom. And that's the way most people had to learn. So you go, all right, well, he said here and here and boom. So where's the boom? And now people are very precise. They're telling you where it seems like the natural tendency for a student to make a weird error isn't there because it's so specific. Like they're really getting into
we're dissecting all of it. It's like when you get into...
It's like a process. It's orders of operation.
It's like when you're in kindergarten, you're learning some basic things. Then you get to middle school, you're actually dissecting a frog.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. We're dissecting all these moves. Maybe they've been around forever, but we're getting into them now. So that's just pretty cool. Is the thing, you learn a move in jiu-jitsu, especially like these leg locks, they're just evolving, just tying different knots.
Yeah.
Like, they're just knots. And so that's pretty cool. The way that everything's just advancing is really, really good. I like to drill. I drill a move to get the coordination of it. And then we do specific training where we put ourselves in a move. Like we'll say, okay, we're just going to be passing De La Riva guard right now.
Pressure testing.
Yeah, just trying it out. Like I used to do that back in the day with BJ Penn where we would just hold each other in side control and try and throw each other to the left.
Right.
Throw it, because, you got to check everything out. You got to check some balances. And then also, it's very important to discuss the roles that you have with someone.
Yeah.
Because most people just go into a black hole. You ask someone, what was the last move you got tapped in? The first thing they're probably going to do is make an excuse. They're going to say, I was tired. I didn't sleep that night, or I was working late. Okay, but how'd you get tapped? Oh, it just turns into a black hole. So you have to be able to go back to where you were tapped and dissect that.
I tell my students, like, when you're doing rounds, at the end of the round, you shouldn't go, what did you do to your partner? You hear white belts, blue belts all the time turn their partner, oh man, what did you do? They should be able to turn around and say, hey, I was pushing, I was framing, I was moving my hips out, and you switched to S mount and pulled my arm. How, was I too far forward, whatever? You should be able to kind of at least give them reference, because things are happening so fast that you don't know. Then you now have to slow everything down. There's so much skill missing that we can't go that fast. And then we can prevent injury. Then we can make it where they can process the move better, and then we can build up.
Yeah, so if the person got Kimura, guess what? They should be drilling their Kimura escapes.
Yeah. Recognize them.
At least after class or the next day. It's just like when I went to school, I didn't like bringing my homework home. I would finish everything up and still be fresh in my head.
Right.
So by the time I got home, I was already done. Because a lot of people want to go home, take a few hours break, and then try to remember what they're learning.
It's gone.
It's already gone. So I like to take care of all that. Someone beats me with something, I'll ask them, how'd you get that on me? You'll usually start laughing, but eventually you'll figure it out. And then you're not going to get caught with that, hopefully, anymore. But yeah, it's beyond. Being good at jiu-jitsu is like I like to say, it's not that I'm better than someone at jiu-jitsu, but I know how to learn.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of people don't like to learn. They like to win. And if they don't win, then they kind of shy away. They just got bullied. You say, okay, you're getting bullied. Who's bullying you? Why are they bullying you?
What opportunities are you giving them?
Why do you think you're getting bullied? If you were a bully, why would you bully yourself? So, but people don't like to go too deep into things. I like going deep into things. You can figure out anything about anyone. You could say, hey, that guy looks pissed. But why? You could go all the way deep. You could find that turning point in his life of why he all of a sudden turned pissed off in his life.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the jiu-jitsu. And most of the guys don't like to train what they're not good at.
Oh, it's shy away 100%.
Like deep half guard, for example. Everyone likes, they're doing their deep half guard. But I say, well, let the guy start with an underhook on you.
Yeah. Sprawl the hip on the head.
I don't let anyone start with no one gets underhook on me. Well, let him start with it. Just start rounds with him with a good underhook on you. Because that's what's going to happen if you're going against someone good.
I mean, we both get a say. We both get a vote on how things go. So you can't, your vote's not going to be right all the time. You can't choose.
Yeah, so just try to always improve. Sometimes you got to cross train, but I always say be loyal to your team, especially if you're competing. Like I've had guys that are training at my school, cross training. I don't care. I think they're on my team. And then we go to the tournament, they're fighting us.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, dude. I thought you were with us. So, yeah, if you're cross training and stuff, when you compete, I think you got to choose one team.
I think the biggest thing on the team stuff is like, it's communication.
There you go.
Which is something that most dudes that enjoy grabbing a hold of other human beings and throwing it and shoulders pressed in their face, most of them might be lacking in the communication skills maybe. And so then we assume, well, they don't want to be my student anymore because they don't like me, where it's really, well, they don't want to be my student anymore. And they are making me feel that way because they actually feel guilty about, I couldn't make it to class and he invested a lot of time in me.
Whoa.
And I feel bad and I don't know what to say, you know? And like this kind of thing just happened to me, one of my students. And it was cool to have him come back and just say, hey man, it was this. And I go, dude, I did see it through that lens, but now I have to see it through the lens of, yeah, I'm investing my extra time that I don't have to. But to this person, at the end of the day, like I met them through this and it's their hobby.
There you go.
You know, like I'm trying to help their life. This is their hobby. But so those transactions sometimes aren't very equal. And you got to be okay with that as the person providing it.
100%. Yeah, you just got to, it's a learning process. We're all learning. I learn as a teacher.
That's a very brand new thing for me. It's hard.
I contradict myself all the time when I'm teaching. I say, well, never grab your hands this way.
And
Next thing you know, I'm grabbing them that way.
Don't give up your back and then you're deep arm dragging.
Yeah, sometimes, you want to create, you look at the Rotolo brothers, they create scrambles, they give up their back.
Yep.
Whenever they're not sure, things are getting a little shifty. Next thing you know, it looks like they're giving their back and they Granby roll and get on top and turn into a scramble. So it all just depends on what your game is. And to me, I think the most important thing is learning the basics at first. And then you can learn all the Japanese names later.
So day one, first move you're teaching, Berimbolo.
I mean, it all depends on the person. If the guy's real flexible.
What would you teach day one? Someone walks in, let's just say 5'10", 170, good shape guy.
We should throw him like
What do you show
couple
that first
moves
class?
like rear naked choke, Americana. Maybe I usually show people wristlocks. Day one, who cares?
Yeah.
And then
That's just to show them like some finished stuff. Do you start out with any wrestling skills, or what do you kind of start people out with?
I look at the people and see what they got.
Yeah.
I'm from Chicago, so a lot of people are wrestlers. If they're wrestlers, they just want to roll.
Yeah.
They're looking at me crazy. I'll show them one or two moves.
They're just staring you down the whole
They're
time.
staring me down. This guy needs a roll. And then if they look like real fragile, some people are real fragile.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm showing them something real basic.
So you don't have like a set class style. You kind of
No, my school is always kind of smaller. I always tailor made everything like that.
Nice.
I had a big school, but then there was a fire. So normally my schools are like 800 square feet. So like a little family.
Yeah.
And then I got one, it was 6,000 square feet. And the restaurant next door had a fire and ruined it. And then went back to a little one. So usually at my gym, the way I had it was my advanced guys were like adopt a beginner guy.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
it was beyond just that first class.
Right.
It was like, yeah, this guy's your buddy now. And just try to make it easier because it's way better if you have a little buddy that's
Especially
more experienced.
that knows like, hey, you're going to be frustrated. Hey, don't hold your breath. Like all these little things that you need help
like he's
with.
vouching for him.
Yeah.
Especially if he brings the guy. Because sometimes people bring their friends.
Yeah.
And then they don't even want to deal with them. They stay like completely on the other side of the room. I said, that's your boy. Take care of him.
Yeah.
Show him the basics. And then that beginner will remember that person the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
It'll be a mentor to them. So it's like you sponsor the person.
Adopt a white belt.
Yeah, you adopt a white belt, and I tell the white belt you got to be nice, or they're gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
And then it usually works out good at because it's beyond that first class, because a lot of times like you focus in on the guy that first class.
Yeah.
Show him this, show him that, and then day two,
Oh, it's too much.
he's gone. You don't even
Yeah.
you just get him to sign up and don't talk to him anymore. But the way is like I try to make sure we adopt that guy and give him the best experience
That's
that he
cool.
can have. And I tell him, hey, the better you get, the less you'll pay for everything, for gis, for classes, for everything. I said, so if you suck, you're gonna pay the highest prices forever. So if you want to get, good deals on gis, everything, the better you get, the more tournaments you get, the more free stuff.
You know what? You're not wrong, because the guys that have been there the longest, they end up throughout the years get the free no gi kits. They get the gi. Hey, just take the gi. Yeah, they get the free seminars.
You get better.
No, you're right. That's true.
Because they make they're easier to work with everyone else. I have a few guys that have been with me for years. Now we're taking care of all these beginners, because the beginners are the hardest ones. Like a swimming pool. Yeah. We're all swimming laps, jumping off the high dive. Now all of a sudden, we got guys that can drown in there.
Yeah, that's true.
And so,
that's a cool way to say that.
You can't just leave it on me. Everyone's got to be involved. You got to make sure this kid doesn't drown. That's your boy.
So it's community.
Yeah, and not everyone likes to help people, but there's always there's especially like older guys, they love helping people.
You're right.
Because maybe they're not sparring so hard, so if they could help that white belt that's brand new, they feel good.
Yeah.
And so I look at it as a big family, big community, kind of like Henzo's the president right now. Yeah. I was thinking that the other day, like, are we ever going to vote for a jiu-jitsu president? Maybe.
That's funny.
It's like, who's going to be the president of jiu-jitsu this year?
You think it's Henzo?
Probably Henzo at this point.
Henzo's president of
Craig
jiu-jitsu.
Jones on the come up.
Was he like a congressman? He's like a nice young congressman.
Freaking Danaher, he would be like, he's like
Secretary
of Star
Defense.
Wars or something. Yeah, he's like, you don't know what to expect.
You just compared Danaher to the Emperor in
Star
Wars.
Go. Or no, but he's nice too. So
yeah, he is. He's pretty nice.
He's really good. He helped he changed so much of the leg locks and stuff. So you got Danaher, and then all the teams end up splitting. So now you got the B team and Danaher. But to me, that's all just Carlson Gracie JiuJitsu. Like, I break it down to the core.
Right.
And you look at like Carlson Gracie JiuJitsu, American top team, Brazilian. It's all just Carlson Gracie JiuJitsu. Then if it's just the way I go straight to the core. In New York, there's a lot of Russians going by there all the time. So, of course, you're going to have better leg locks there on the East Coast than the West Coast, because the Russians were always going to Henzo's.
Yep.
And a lot of Russians would train in Chicago, too, but they're not going to get on a podcast. They're going to come in, train, maybe break a few legs and leave. You never see them again. And so I'm sure through Henzo's gym, they've had plenty, because in Chicago, we'd always have guys coming in, Sambo.
Dude, you're right. I've got two kids. They actually they moved to elsewhere now, but for the last year, they've been here, both Ukrainian, like refugee status. And those two dudes, we're talking like blue belts. Both of them at blue belt level are like doing advanced leg entanglements, defenses, late stage defense. Like those guys were doing just from their Sambo.
From the Sambo.
They're getting it all the time.
And now I think jiu-jitsu leg locks are probably better than the Sambo leg locks. There's probably
just more variations of how to enter, so you can get more complex.
There you go. Yeah, because I don't even think they have any Russians that can out-grapple these guys now over here.
They've had some guys in one try go with like Musamishi and
Tyrotolo. He wristlocked one of them.
Yeah.
He thanked me. He's like, hey, Pete the Greek. Hey, thanks, Tyrotolo. And Cade's fighting...
Hey, I will also mention, I've used this several times, and I realized that they got it from you, was in ADCC, setting up the knee cut and using the wrist lock as a way to get someone to stretch out. So that way you can hit your knee cut easier. And then it takes the frame away.
Afterwards, we saw Mika and his dad, and they're from Oswaldo's gym. Yeah. So I know his dad since forever. He saw me, because he's probably wondering, how the heck did my kid get wrist locked with Tolos? And he looked at me and he saw deja vu. I'm like, hey, that's just the way it is. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And Cade just fought right now, MMA. I just cornered my good friend Callan Sabino in combat jiu-jitsu. He got fight of the night. And then he just went into EBI 10-year anniversary.
Yep.
And he was outweighed by the guy. I forgot the guy's name. He's a giant.
He's got one against Big Dan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And shout out to Big Dan. We ended up hanging out with him. And there's so many new people. I don't know all their names. Like, I keep it simple. I know they got the guys from Henzo's, the guys from Gracie Academy. You got the Machados, and it's pretty much everyone. And you have Novo and Yao. Those are the guys that kind of.
Yep. That was the Fada.
Yeah, there's a lot of. But I break things down. I could look at someone and tell you right where their lineage is from. I could tell you right away if you train with Glover right away. I could tell you train with Glover right away. Deep half guard sweeps. And so I like to look at someone's game and I could tell where their base is from. And then that's just the way it is. I love jiu-jitsu. And
you said something last night at dinner that I was like, dang, that's I can't see you this way, but you said that you weren't really having fun with jiu-jitsu until you had met Glover.
Yeah, well, before I was training with Carlson, I was a kid in the class.
When you say kid, you're like 16?
Yeah, 16. These guys were tough. Jiu-jitsu is not really, for high school kids back then at least, it was mostly people over 25, 26 years old.
Like competitive athletes.
Yes, I was just trying to survive. And then when I trained in Brazil, it wasn't really so much fun. I was a gringo there, so I always had to watch my back. I'd be rolling, they'd be like, gringo. I was like, uh-oh, once I hear that, I got to turn it up.
Yeah. Next gear, huh?
Next gear. So I was like, and then let's think. The Rotolos are fun to train with too.
Yeah.
They're as fun as Glover. Like these guys, you can train with all day and never get hurt. And
they just want to move.
They just want to move. And so, yeah, Glover, BJ Penn, when I trained with him, it was fun. It was serious too because UFC. But yeah, straight fun in jiu-jitsu, yeah, Glover. And Teddy too, though.
Yeah.
Actually, before Glover, I trained with Teddy. That was fun too. These guys were like, just open up your game. Who cares if he sweeps you?
Yeah. It seems to me, especially like as I get older, it seems to me like that's the thing that will prevent injuries is if I stop fighting against the sweep, if I stop fighting against the armbar and everything so much, just worry about moving, giving that position up, whatever. I'm not getting hurt, and I'm still lasting. I'm still working.
I just try to figure out where they're trying to throw me.
Don't go.
And
there.
I either block it the opposite way where they can't, or I'll jump where they want to throw me. I'll go there first. So if they're trying to throw me to their right, I'll jump to their right first. So when they try to sweep me, I'm already there. And so
beating the hips.
These are all little. Carlson would just say heavy pressure. If they're trying to sweep you, he just wants a sprawl and body lock, get your head in there. Yeah, I'd come out with bruises, scratches, look like I've been through a war.
But that time frame you went through there, that was when Carlson was really like the guy.
Yeah, we had the best team.
MMA.
There was no other team for me. When I was growing up, Vitor Belfort's coming over. He's 19 years old.
Victor Belfort,
Victor
right?
Belfort.
Victor back then.
They call him Victor Gracie, actually.
Victor Gracie, right.
Because at that point in time, there was no one in the Gracie family to step up to fight.
Right.
So the way that it went with the family was,
Carlson,
hey, if no one in my family's fighting, this kid's in a fight to represent our family. And that's what he did. It wasn't out of disrespect to Vitor's name, but that was just, they didn't have anyone in the family to fight.
Right.
Hickson wasn't fighting in UFC. Hoist was already retired. And so they didn't have a Gracie representative in the UFC anymore. There's nobody.
That first entrance for him into the UFC really opened up for all the other like BTT guys at that point.
Yeah, that's why Carlson left Brazil, because he saw Hoist having the success. He's like, well, if Hoist could do all that, imagine what my guys could do.
Yeah.
So Vitor was the youngest and fastest. He brought him over. But then they had some problems. They missed Brazil. They went back to Brazil, and then the team split. Look, in martial arts, it's always that way. A lot of the enemies come from the guy that was closest to you.
Yeah.
Because he knows all your tricks. He knows he's gonna look at you and not see what you're good at. He's gonna see your errors.
Right.
And that's what happens when you hang out with someone too much. You start looking at things that they can't even control. What would they say? Their errors or
maybe their faults.
Their faults. So that's when Glover and I hang out with too much. We start looking at each other's faults. He's like, hey, you're fat. Hey, you're this, yeah. Yeah, like today, he looked at me and goes, you're fat, and just hung up the phone. So, yeah, Glover and I have an intense relationship. So, like, one day together is like 1 year. We spent about 8 years hanging out together.
Oh, that's funny.
He was my therapist because I got in a bad car accident.
Right.
And then he got the van, and I would just sleep in the back. He'd drive around and go to work, and I would just hang out, and because he put a little mattress in the back.
Yeah.
I'd sleep, and then we'd hang out at Victory MMA with Jocko all day. I miss those guys. I'm actually going to start working with them hopefully soon again.
That's awesome.
End of the year.
What's he like to work with? What's Jocko like?
I try not to disappoint him, you know? It makes you raise up the bar. Dealing with someone like that, you're going to, well, at least myself and Glover, he's a respectable person. You're not going to want to let down. So you feel like you're letting down your country if you let down Jocko.
Dang.
So you want to do your best, you know? And they got a really
Say you're sorry. Say you're sorry to America. I'm sorry.
And he's really nice. Like, he's not even intense to anyone.
That's cool.
He's very kind. But yeah, I'm not going to want to disappoint him. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. Same with Jeff. So we would get there at 10 a.m., go from 10 a.m. to 12:30, then take a nap, and then go again from, I think it was around 4 p.m. till around 9. So we were putting in 6-7 hours on the mat every day. And normally Jeff wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But for Jocko, he'll do it.
That's cool.
No problem. You know, Jeff and I, after one class, 2 classes, we're already tired. But for someone like Jocko, we'll be there all day. I'll teach 6-7 classes a day, no problem. Like, you want to wake up at 4 in the morning and think that you just think about Jocko right there. You get up. If Jocko can do it, I got to do it. So it's good to have someone that motivates you, because for a lot of us, our parents, like, I would look at my dad and I wouldn't really be motivated. I'd be more scared. I'd be like, oh shit, like, my dad's around. Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm really disappointing him.
But when Jocko's around, you're like, whoa, he's here. I'm gonna do better.
That's cool. Because
he loves jiu-jitsu. And yeah, just a stand-up guy. I like him. And their whole, Dean Lister the same way. If Dean's around, I'm gonna put on a good class. There's no way. Dean Lister's watching me teach. You kidding me? It's going to be one of the best classes ever. And I got experience teaching with good people. Like Oswaldo, when I was there in Brazil, he's the one that showed me a lot of Wristlocks. Sometimes he would just put us on the spot. Like, hey, Pete, today you're going to teach.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to teach a good class in front of Oswaldo. Carlson's rough, though. If you're teaching a move he didn't like, he'll call you out right in the class. You're like, I don't like that.
Would he challenge, like, why not do this one or something?
Carlson,
this move sucks,
Carlson always a fight in everything,
really?
Every situation, but a good fight.
Yeah.
Just to keep you on your toes. Like, maybe there's one guy at the school teaching, one of Junior's friends, and he was teaching a move, like, from the half guard, and Carlson looks up at me, and he's watching, he goes, that never worked on any of my students. This guy lost to all my students. Put him on the spot.
Dang.
But he's speaking Portuguese, most people, but yeah, the guy was like, whoa. He knew to change a move, like, don't show that again. Because he tried doing that move, and it failed. So I've been in these situations with these, I was raised by masters of jiu-jitsu, thank God.
That's so cool.
And so I try to do my best, and I got injured, I broke my neck, so I have these artificial discs, so I'm not out there rolling all the time, but when I do, I have fun. I can't do it every day anymore.
Yeah.
I do every other day if possible. But, yeah, if the guy's, like, cross-facing me too hard and stuff, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. My neck's going to hurt. So, but I'll do it if needed.
Yeah.
Like, but at this point, I pick and choose my battles. I like to beat up white belts. I wristlock white belts.
No new friends, huh, Pete?
No new friends. And I'll go with black belts, too. Like, I go with everyone. I pretty much give everyone a good roll.
Yep.
And, man, I like leg locks, too. I like all this stuff. To me, jiu-jitsu is the ultimate, like, game for an adult.
What are the guys that you have, like, style-wise on your, like, I've been in this position where I go, man, with what I know and what I like, if I had a different body type, I wish I could have the Keenan body type where triangles are everywhere.
Sure.
Like a Hodger, like I can do anything I want. Or you got guys like an Orlando Sanchez, like I wish I could just barrel through people.
Well,
you
he's
know
like
what
a
I mean?
giant version of us.
Yeah, way giant. But I mean, you like, do you feel like you had like the right kind of body type for the game, or if you
I was never the greatest athlete. I'm like Rocky Balboa. Like it's a straight heart with me. There's no like. I remember I tried out for the high school football team. They told me like, you know, you might want to stick to baseball or something.
Dang.
So
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, they told me that, and I was beating the guys in the races and everything, but they could just see I wasn't going to grow like everyone else. And so, yeah, mine's all sheer heart. I'm not flexible. I'm not that strong, but I'm determined. Just like Rocky in the movie Rocky, you know, like he wasn't supposed to win.
No.
Remember? He was never supposed to win.
Right.
But now you got the point where you have super athletes. You have like Nicky Rodriguez and these guys that like, they go in any athletic team in high school, the coaches are going to be drilling over them.
It seems like I see a lot more these new school guys being just
super
top tier athletes, and a lot of old school guys are like, you know, dads do jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you just you work with what you got. It's like opening the refrigerator. What am I going to cook today? Let's see what we got. And that's what you got to do. You got to make the best of what you have and try and model yourself after who's built like you.
Right.
Like I'm built like a Waleed or something. So I'm gonna be, wide shoulders, short legs. So right there, it's gonna tell you I'm not gonna be good for Darce chokes.
Right.
Because Darce chokes are gonna be people with narrow chest, taller. Like Glover,
long
like
arms.
the Rottolos. Yeah, with the long arms. Someone with a wide chest and short arms, you don't have to worry about darcing you. Those are gonna be heavy pressure people.
Right.
So you have to be able to look at all of us and be able to tell right away if the guy has long arms, like they start on long legs, they start under his armpits. He's going to be good at triangles.
Yeah.
And then you got to know, okay, he could be good at straight ankle locks. You have to be able to scan these people so quick.
That's kind of a skill that I'd say jiu-jitsu people have, or people that train have. When you look at someone in public, you start picking away the ways you would beat them if there was a fight that was going to break out. I'd leg kick this guy. Oh, do I take that guy down? He's got little arms. I'd work for chokes. You just kind of look at people what they got and
right
go,
away.
Man, this is. I'll just jab that dude to
I'm sure
death.
Animals
Whatever.
do that
No, you're right. That's
when
true.
a pit bull goes right next to like another pit bull or another type of dog, it's sizing him up, sniffing him out a little bit. But I could do it pretty indirect. I could pretend like I didn't even see him and just say, okay, that dude's a triangler. Watch your posture. But with the leg locks, you can't really tell. That's the thing, though. If the guy's really good at leg locks, you might not even know. Okay, it could be built like anything.
Yeah, everybody's got that game now.
Everyone's got that game, so you got to kind of know their lineage. If they're 10th planet, they're probably learning leg locks before even guard passing. And not that that's right or wrong, but you just have to know that.
Yeah, it's effective.
You can be going with a guy with 6 months experience from 10th planet, and they'll be trying to heel hook you and may not even know how to escape the mount yet, but you just have to know what you're dealing with. And if you look at someone from like Saulo's gym in Shanji, like a Gracie Humaita or Gracie Academy, those guys are going to be good at recovering the guard and stuff. They're going to spend. So you have to look at the lineage of where the person's coming from. If they're coming from Danaher, they're going to know their leg locks.
And wrestling.
If they come from Novinal in Brazil, that they could probably take a punch in the face. They're ready for MMA.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy may not know leg locks, but he can take a punch. And so then you can even break it down even more. You could say, who's good at what kind of half guards these guys play.
Yeah.
And most of them don't play deep half guard. They play the coyote half guard. If they're playing deep half guard, they probably train with Alliance Jiu-Jitsu at some point. And the Rottolos have a good mix. They're pretty good. They pass the north-south.
Yeah.
If you see people stepping on people's legs,
Yep, that's all. Yeah.
it's probably because of them. BJ Penn used to do that back in the day, but not as much. He would do it from the over-under pass. They do it from Toriando's. BJ Penn was something else. Maybe he didn't know all these crazy techniques, but his body can do anything he wanted. So maybe he couldn't explain to a regular person how to take the back, but he
Just
could
found
move his
a way.
he could move his arms like he could move his legs like I move my arms.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was something else too. You're really good. You swept me no problem. As soon as you got into the deep half, I knew I was getting
It
launched.
wasn't no problem.
No, but once you entered in, I felt it. That's why the deep half is so cool, because the guy can't really smash you from that quarter guard anymore.
It's hard. It's definitely. I always tell all these people, like, man, I'm getting smashed in this position. This position. I'm like, if you learn this, you don't. I don't know what to tell you. They can still do some stuff, but
yeah, because the only other option is the guy's passing like that. You're gonna see the guy like, try and like hug the guy. That's not gonna work. Don't hug his waist. You're gonna be caught up here like that now, and then be stuck like this. You're gonna hug around that leg, the same one that you have trapped. And then if they're passing the other way, trying to cut, then you do the coyote.
Yep.
And then you get good at switching them back and forth, where he's trying to pass this way and you bring him in the deep half, or he's trying to mount and then you bring him to the coyote. Yep. So yeah, half guard, still one of the coolest guards I think in the world, because it works gi, it works no gi. Most of the other guards,
like, there's definitely some limitation. Like Spider is not effective. De La Hiva, there's aspects of it that you use, but you use them as a transition, like using that deep.
Yeah, you can get toe holded from a lot of these guards.
Yeah.
Leg locked,
half guard's reliable. Danaher says it's, the premier position jiu-jitsu for passing and the premier position jiu-jitsu for sweeping. So you're going to be in that spot all the time. And it's good for both players. You just have to figure it out.
Yeah, I like to take positions and just flip them over.
Yeah.
So, example, if you're in your closed guard and just flip it over, now you're in the mount.
Yeah.
And a lot of positions are like that. If you go like the over-under pass and flip it over, you're pretty much in a deep half guard now.
Yep.
That's so like, I like seeing the moves like from one way, but then I like to flip it over and see where it takes me. And then you can figure out a lot more options. So pretty much a lot of the moves you can flip over. Some of the moves you can't.
Would you say that's kind of one of those things we take for granted that we figure out down the road, but something that would be important for like a white belt to know, like a beginner is like, hey, when you're learning, you're really learning both sides. Like
you can just flip it over.
Yeah.
Just flip it over like, hey,
you're answering all the questions ahead of time because you're saying, hey, in this position, I have to do this and this because it controls posture or whatever. And then when you flip that, you go, hey, they're trying to control my posture or whatever. So,
that's how I developed my new Wristlocks, because I'll take a Wristlock, let's say from the closed guard that works well. Then I'll flip it over. I'll just have him go on his back and I'll mount him, and I'll get that same Wristlock to work from the mount.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's how you just flip the moves. And I do that with all the moves, with the half guard. Pretty much all the moves, you just flip it upside down, and you can start figuring out options. And I like doing that, just taking some random move and flipping it upside down and seeing where you're at.
It's weird, like those little things that you think about when you're an older guy been doing it, because you can start breaking things down into play and
you break it down
over intellectualize, because your body can't just. I'll just figure it out through running into a wall over and over.
No, you just got to recognize
precious.
these are the same positions. They're just in a different situation.
Yeah.
Like the floor is pretty much the wall too.
Work off the wall, barrier fighting and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
It's all the same stuff. So it seems a lot more complex, but it's pretty simple. And then the leg locks are a little bit different. That's just tying knots. But it's the same thing. You can flip it upside down, see where you're at. And that's what the berimbolo does, is taking it back but going underneath them.
Right.
Instead of taking it back from the side of them. So if people are flexible enough to do it, I say do it.
Absolutely.
If you can do it, do it. If you can't, don't do it. I don't like inverting.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. If I'm upside down, I'm in a weak position. I'm like an armadillo.
Right.
You put a freaking armadillo upside down, it's going to have problems. But I understand how to play my guard. I know where the guy's trying to crush me. Most of the time he's using his chest or his hips. So if I feel him trying to dig his hips into me, I'm going to keep those hips away. And if worse comes to worse, I'm going to stand up. It's like a real fight.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the UFC more than 3 minutes on your back, you're probably going to be hurt real bad. So I look at it as martial arts. Like, if I can't do anything, if I know I cannot sweep you, if I feel like your base is too good, I'm getting up. I'm getting out. Maybe I'm going to grab a single leg and get up. Because to me, if you're on the bottom, you're losing.
Yeah, 100%.
Against someone good, you're losing. See if you have like the Rotolo brothers on top of you. It's terrible. They're never going to get tired.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're going to be on your back or darsing you. So, hey, playing on my back is fun. But if I feel like it's not fun, I'm getting out of there.
Yeah, that's, it's really surprising too. You don't think about it till later, but if someone's whole intention is just stand up, sometimes it's pretty freaking hard to keep them on the ground. Like,
it's very tough.
It's difficult. I mean, they build up a little bit of base. You have to really know how to wrestle. And a lot of jiu-jitsu guys know how to wrestle to get you to the ground, but don't know how to like do that scrimmage wrestling where I'm keeping you on the ground.
Yeah, they don't turk the legs that much.
Yeah.
Like turking the legs. BJ Penn would do that. Khabib does it.
Hop on one foot, move them to the side.
Yeah, they get their
pull that
leg
knee off the
underneath. They
floor.
hook underneath the leg that wants to stand up.
Yep.
Or else the guy's going to pull the leg back and stand up.
Well, you notice like the way everybody's fixing that is they're turking the legs and do a lot of power half.
Yeah.
Half Nelson. I mean, it's funny. The advanced stuff is essentially just high school wrestling.
Yeah, we're combining it. This whole sport's in the infancy right now. So we're not even near where it's going to be. If you even look at the payroll, last year, the best grappler 2 years ago, the best grappler in the world would make $10,000.
Right.
This year is going to make $1 million. That's a big jump. Jiu-jitsu like crypto or something, just blowing up right now.
What do you think that's do you think from a standpoint of someone who's been in this for a while, do you think these guys that were on ADCC that have switched and gone to
they're not on
CJI,
contract, you know what I mean? So like
do you think that's going to not be good for them in the future? Do you think that potentially like could cause an issue, like it's like a bad investment, bad business decision? Because if CJI doesn't last, all of a sudden it goes back to, well, no one else wants to step up and fund this again.
Well, it all depends. Are they going to make any money to pay back? I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like these guys have enough money where they don't expect to get paid back too much.
Which would be the dream, right? Because then you could keep having the event.
But if they want a big return on their money, then maybe there might not be another one.
I mean, I don't know how many over the last 25 years, how many freaking promotions have we seen pop up? 2-3 shows, and then they're bankrupt. They're not paying people anymore.
Well, it's like all these gi companies, they always pop up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're calling me, hey, Pete, like with my school, we'll sell them to you real cheap.
Right.
Okay, but in a year from now, you're not going to, you're selling me this cheap, and I don't work with the people I work with. You're taking a loss. You're not going to be able to do this for too long.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If they're able to monetize this, hopefully they can. Like, Craig Jones is pretty smart from what I see.
Not wrong.
And, he's shaking people up. And when you shake people up, you get some type of results, right? It's kind of like, basically ADCC was like this. Like, imagine it's a gi match. The guys walk up, they hold each other's collars, and it's a stalemate.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden you got Jacare grabbing your collars, shaking you. Now you got to do something. You can't stall right now. So Craig Jones's move pretty much stopped the stall. It's making let's see what Mo does, because I know ADCC from before Mo.
Right. I'm
friends with the Sheik and stuff. So it's like, we'll see what happens. To be continued.
Yeah. Not wrong.
But I think it like this. You can't expect your fighters to be loyal to you if you don't have them under any type of contract. So, example, like the NBA.
It is a business decision.
Yeah, imagine like the NBA. All of a sudden, the finals are coming up. And then some team in Europe offers their best players all this money to come play in Europe that same weekend.
Right.
That's never going to happen in the NBA. That can't happen.
It's all under contract.
Yeah.
They get
but in
guaranteed money.
This is just crazy. You can call the events whatever you want to call them. It's the same guys fighting.
Yeah.
So it's not like this event has these fighters. No, it's these same fighters fighting every event.
This is true.
So it's not like, okay, in the NBA, we got Jordan, we got Kobe, we got these guys. So in jiu-jitsu, that's why there's so much room for growth. If you and I raise enough money, we can get all the best fighters in the world to fight in our event.
This is true.
But in another sport, that will never happen. That can't happen in baseball.
So you think now this causes things where these promotions go, hey, we got to start putting people under contract now.
Maybe the Craig Jones thing, maybe they got to put the guy under contract now if they get him. Who knows? Or Mo's probably thinking, like, I should have did that.
100%.
But how can you have someone under contract for $10,000 over a 2-year period?
That's
It's
a good
like,
point.
how much money is that a month? Let's figure it. I'm not that good at math. But
It's not a lot over 2 years.
it's like what? So over 2 years, how much would that be? $10,000. Let's see.
well, 20 months would be $500 a month. So
There
you're
you go.
talking like
For the
$400
champ.
a month.
That's not even food. That's not even covering supplements.
Yeah.
So like where did the rest of this money come from? How, is this kid have to be rich? Does he have to be sponsored by someone? So it can't be that way. If you're trying to be in a pro sport and you're having to live off sponsorships man, I think if you offered that little money in any sport, people would quit. Imagine they were paying the best baseball players in the world $10,000 every 2 years.
You know what they could do is do something like, because you don't really have them for 2 years, you got them after they win trials, or if you're going to invite them.
Yeah.
So when they win trials, they get the gold medal at trials. They sign a contract. They win $10,000 at trials right there. That's your advance.
The
You
trials
get
is
$10,000.
tough.
So you get $10,000 for winning trials, and then now when the event comes up, you'll also win for your first match.
They should get at least 50,000 to win ADCC. I mean, come on.
For sure. I honestly, back several years ago, I thought it was that level of money. Because in my mind, I'm thinking this is a sheik of an oil-rich country. He's probably got a gold-plated toilet. I'm sure he could afford to pay $50,000, $60,000, whatever.
You know what I mean?
I thought it would be more money.
Yeah, so show me the money. That's what I'm thinking. Rotolo's right now have a good chance. Like, I'm willing to bet one of them is going to win the $1 million.
Yeah, they're both in the same weight class, right? Or are they splitting
They're both
up?
in the same. One of them's going to win.
Yeah.
I'll pretty much bet this shirt.
Buchecha just announced for the heavyweight division on that.
He's good too.
Yeah. He's been training MMA, but still, like, that's a good format for MMA guys, as we've seen in past ADCCs. And
You just
those
got to
kind of rule
work at what
sets.
you lost at. A lot of the guys, they get heel hooked or whatever. Did they address that situation? That's the thing. Because like I was saying earlier, a lot of people go into a black hole. Oh, I was tired. Oh, I was training MMA. Oh, it was this. Oh, it was that. Yeah, but did you ever figure out how to get out of that heel hook? If that same guy was to put you in that heel hook again,
Would you have an answer?
would you be able to escape? To be continued. But that's what all the guys,
Yeah.
a lot of guys get heel hooked, and the next thing you know, they're going to the gym and they're going to work with their buddy that they trust. Hey, put me in that heel hook. I'm going to try and get out of it. Okay, but even my ego is going a little bit. You're not going to try and break it, so you got to know how to play with that. And then eventually you'll never get heel hooked again. You actually want people to heel hook you because it's actually easier to escape than an ankle lock because you can corkscrew out and take their back because the heel hook's making you twist.
Yep.
The
You gotta
ankle
clear
lock,
the knee line.
if the guy's freaking tall and has a freaking ankle lock, and it's almost harder to escape, I think,
Oh, you're right.
because it's so far. There's no spinning. You're stuck. You're trying to move forward. So I don't care who you are. If you got tapped out, if you lost in anything, address that situation. Address it. And for the high-level black belt, it's going to be heel hooks. You have the old school Brazilian guys, oh, we don't like heel hooks. Okay, but we've been doing them now for like 9 years.
Yeah.
Have you addressed it?
Right.
Because they're not going to disappear.
We allow beginners, white belts. You're allowed to come to class and learn them, learn how to apply them,
That's
feel
good.
what they're like, feel how to do like early defense, late stage defense. When you roll, you can connect with your partner. And everybody, since they have familiarity with them, people are paying attention to what's going on. And they're tapping. Like, as soon as someone just touches a heel with an elbow pit, they're like, cool. Until they get more used to it, then you see them start playing. See them trying to clear knee lines and stuff. So I think it's good to present those tools, especially for saying they're so dangerous. Well, then they're dangerous because we're probably not spending a lot of time. People are getting reps. And so it's unfamiliar. And then they make stupid decisions.
Yeah.
So it's because it's uninformed decisions.
Yeah, like you're not allowed to go to that side of the room. They're gonna go.
They're gonna go check it out. Yeah, for sure they are.
You're not allowed to learn these. So
no, you're right.
But yeah, people get hurt with this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but for the advanced people, you gotta know how you have to address. You got your guard passed. Okay. How'd they pass your guard? You got to be able to think. You got to be able to rewind it. You have to be your best teacher.
Yeah. Did you not get to play the guard you like, and then they pass because you don't have enough reps?
You just got to be able to. I'm from Chicago. There wasn't that much jiu-jitsu around me, so I had to become my own teacher. Of course, I had Carlson, all these guys at the gym, but if you want to get good, there's a lot of thinking outside of the gym.
That's a good point.
You know, that's why I always think it's good to have a little mat area in your house, wherever you live. And even if you have no one to do a couple moves with,
just move
around, or you think of something random. Anywhere I live, there's always a mat. Like, hey, put me in this arm bar, or at least a carpet.
Yeah.
You start, okay, that'll never work. Okay, cool. We don't have to do it all day, but just when something pops up.
Yeah.
And having a good instructor is the best, especially till you're a black belt at least, because they're gonna take care of you. They've already been in these situations.
Dude, it's hard for me, like the having already been in the situations part. I'm real good with this is how you should play this position, because these are things that happen. But for me, it's worse is the emotional and mental, hey, I've been there. When I'm not getting better.
If they lose in a tournament.
This is too hard. I don't know if I have the time now. It's like, you had the time. You were going to have the time until you had a rough week in practice. You know, like, those things are hard because you don't want to just like lie to them. You know, you want to go, yeah, you're right. This is going to be difficult. This does suck. You know, what would Jocko say? Good.
You
know,
good.
This is good for me.
It's good for you.
It's really hard. I think it's easier to get people to relate to, they have been there. They're going to catch you in the armbar, I know for a fact, than to say, hey, I know for a fact you're going to hate yourself later and you'll feel shame if you don't do this. You're going to wish, then you're going to, someday when you're 50, you're going to walk back in and go, hey, I want to see, am I too old? I want to sign back up. And some 30-year-old's going to be like, oh, that's cool, man. Have you ever trained? Well, yeah, I trained 9 years ago, you know?
Yeah, it happens a lot. You see the guys that quit, they look completely different after they quit.
They look old.
They look
Bro,
old.
I see dudes that are younger than me that look way older, like way more miserable. And I kind of take it to the fact that, like, well, I'm fighting 20-year-olds every day. So I'm not just not just keeping up, but I'm also kind of connecting with a younger, more excited human instead of just crusty old people all the time.
Yeah, like a dog starts to look like an owner.
Yeah,
but with us,
right?
The coaches start to look like the students too.
Hopefully,
you know what I mean. Of course, it's energy. You know, if I'm hanging out with people that are always complaining and not training and just bitching and complaining, I'm gonna feel like that. But if I'm around people that are like, hey, like your student Z, he has a great attitude. It's great.
Yeah, energy.
And good energy. Like, yes, sir. I'm ready. All right. I feel great like that. Let's go. And you need that. Because being an instructor, it's heavy psychological.
Oh, yeah.
They say, like, my boxing coach always tell me, when you coach, you got to be good at psychology. Because you got to see where the guy's going with that. Maybe he is depressed. How are you going to get him back hungry again?
Yeah.
It's a lot of psychological.
You see people that, like, they need you to hold them accountable because it's the thing they hate the most. And maybe jiu-jitsu is a thing that they don't even stick with because it's just another reminder that I don't like that. And they got to find their thing that speaks to them. So there's a lot in this It's deeper than just you're not the personal trainer. It's like I'm just counting reps, bro. Yeah, lift that up, put that. Yep.
No, it's a lot more than that. That's in between a gym and like a dojo. Like you have an academy dojo, like a gym, like a health club. You don't care about the other guys.
Yeah.
You go there and lift weights. Maybe you make one friend.
Yeah, you're gonna fist bump the other. Hey man,
you'll make like 3 friends in 5 years at the health club or at a regular gym. But you go to a jiu-jitsu academy, or I call it a gym too, but it's different because it holds itself together.
Yeah,
you know, all the links. If one link is weak, the other one's got to be there, you know, to cover it. And so it's just something you're going to see, this camaraderie. Maybe you see it like in Little League Baseball or something, or Pop Warner football. But as people get older,
I think it feels like a high school football team.
There you go.
I think it feels like high school. You got like all these different personalities, and they're all together for like one thing, and it's like they know their time is limited. You know what I mean? I think it feels kind of like that, which is why I get so shocked. There's fewer guys that played high school football that will make that jump into jiu-jitsu when they're old, when they're like, what are they doing? They're just sitting on the couch drinking. They're playing Call of Duty. You know, why not get some of that little spark back?
That'd be a good list to have, like old football players from the high school, because they are probably bored.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu's good for. I played ice hockey growing up.
Dude, they're all just getting big guts, talking about their favorite beer.
And they could take the hits.
They could take the hits.
I'm saying football's, you get hit way harder than jiu-jitsu. You're not getting. Jiu-jitsu's great. Like
people think it's really dangerous. You get more serious injuries doing competitive cheerleading, basketball.
I bet.
Dude, all that stuff's way worse than jiu-jitsu.
I had my gym like 16 years. I think 2 people got like little injuries, nothing major.
I think we've had two bad injuries.
Yeah, nothing major.
It's one of those things like you'd think there'd be way more, but man, you see people go in the hospital all the time for broken bone doing cheerleading. It's crazy.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, I never felt good hurting anyone. I don't think anyone likes it. And if you see that guy that likes to hurt people, you get rid of him. Dean
likes to hurt people, I think.
Dean is tough. He could just break their legs.
He SOS's people. He's no new friends for sure. Wristlocks, neck crank, SOS.
He's tough. Dean Lister's tough. And I train at Andre Galvao sometimes. He's really nice. He's my friend from Brazil. I know there's a lot of people don't like a lot of this, a lot of that, but if someone's nice to me, I'm usually nice back. I can't get into.
That's kind of the way it should work, right?
Yeah, I could go up online. Well, this guy had beef with him, or that.
Yeah, that's.
A lot of it's just.
I know so many people that have met me now for the first time, or I say, if you haven't talked to me in 5 years, meet me for the first time. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Like, if you haven't met me, then take 5 minutes, figure out like, oh yeah, he is a little bit of an asshole, but at least I get it now. You know?
Yeah, all my friends are a little bit assholes. Because they see if I'm messing up, they're gonna let me know. They're not just gonna be like, "Oh, that's great, Pete. Yeah, keep doing that."
Good for you, man.
They're gonna be like, "What the hell? You're getting fat. Get out there. Quit eating carbs." You know, or
it's my life.
It's just the way it is, and a lot of it's presentation. Like Henzo, that's why I say he could be the best president of jiu-jitsu, because he knows how to talk to people and not get them upset.
That's a skill, man.
If you look at Half gonna be a little different.
Yeah.
Half, if you don't agree, he's
elbow you
pissed.
in the face.
But Henzo, he knows how to pretty much tell you the truth with you putting a smile on your face. Because most of the time when you're truthful to someone, they get a long face. They're like, oh. But Henzo will tell someone the truth and make them smile at the same time.
That's cool, man.
That's a whole skill in itself right there. Because being a teacher or a business owner, or anything like that, it's a constant state of checking things. Like you see someone with long fingernails, you got to check them. Hey, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Stinky yee. But it's a constant state of that.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting because you're like, I just told you 1,000 times you can't neck crank that guy.
You really need to wear some aluminum in your underarm deodorant. Please, you know? God dang.
So that's what I'm working on now, is telling people the truth, but I haven't figured it out yet.
But in a way they can
smile about it. Almost like to like,
I'm gonna work on that.
I'm gonna work on that without even. Yeah, because that's the thing I have when I try to be too truthful, unless you're like a
100%.
close friend.
No,
you lose
people
them.
take it really bad.
You'll lose them, and so that's.
But you're not telling them anything that in 5 years they won't go, hey man, you were right.
Oh, of course.
I've gotten so many of those messages.
Of course.
And there's a whole gym that's like, hey, my bad. I realized. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But
They're like, we hear your voice.
Yeah, I wasn't the bad guy. I was innovative. Like.
Yeah, just trying to always look. We're just trying not to repeat the same mistakes that we made. Because hey, I made this mistake, and then eventually, I think
not repeat it, but make it where we set ourselves up where we don't even be in positions to make those mistakes anymore. Grow past those kind of mistakes.
And the most important thing is community. Like example, I moved to San Diego. If I didn't have jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't have any friends. Like, what would I do? Okay, I just moved to a new city. What am I going to do? Start meeting people online? If you have jiu-jitsu,
you have an automatic family. It's crazy.
Automatic. You show up and you're going to see people that remind you of people from your own gym. Yep. You're going to meet the rich guy, the thug guy, the poor guy, the athletic guy, the nice guy, the old guy,
the stinky gi guy.
The stinky gi
guy. Get out of here, bro.
The crazy wrestler guy, the leg locker. You know what I mean? So like I'm a wrist locker. I always get along with leg lockers. Always.
Yeah,
people that do deep half.
Y'all are assholes.
I get along with people that do the moves I do. I get along with them. And so even if you never met them before, so that's another thing I think.
You could tell a lot of people by their game, like what they are, how they are as a person.
As a person, if someone like loves heel hooks, they're gonna be sneaky a little bit. You know what I mean? Like there's gonna be more than meets the eye, and that's what I think is great because. Man, someday you may have to move somewhere, and then what? If you don't even know jiu-jitsu, how are you going to make any friends? Go to nightclubs, try and get drunk? Like, then what? So you automatically got jiu-jitsu is just one big old family. We practicing killing each other like Eddie Bravo says. You practice killing someone, and then you go out and have a beer with them.
It's pretty legit.
Like, that's the ultimate game. Is practicing killing someone, but not in theory. Like really trying to choke this fool, really trying to break his arms and legs, and then afterwards we feel great. Like we just like everything just went out.
I bet you've been through a little something with each other.
Yeah, it's great. Like, until you grab someone, you really don't know them.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain it to my dad. I'm like, you just meet someone and talk with them. They could tell you anything, but once you grab them a little bit,
oh no,
once you throw their shoulder,
someone can tell you like, oh man, I've been in all these street fights. I'm bad. You touch them, you go, oh, you've never done anything.
You can feel them.
Oh, you can feel it immediately. When people try to grab my hand, like go shake hands, they try to break your hand with shit. You're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's
you
a body
can't do
language.
nothing. Yeah,
it's a language and. Maybe the leg lock's a little bit more difficult language. But it's all languages. So if you want to learn a language...
It's all the 4-letter words.
There you go. So it's like if you want to learn a language, any language from scratch is going to take a couple of years.
You got to immerse yourself in it.
Yeah, just like if you speak Spanish already, sure you can learn Portuguese sooner. That'd be like quicker. If you've already been wrestling, sure you could pick up jiu-jitsu a little bit quicker. But... it's just a body language. So any language, I think, takes at least like 2 years to get decent at. Now, if you want to learn something like Chinese or Arabic, that's very, very difficult. That could take more years.
I have to tell these parents, they'll say, hey, my daughter's moving to college. I want to learn self-defense.
Okay.
We got 3 months. What should we do? What class should we take or whatever? And I'm like, if you want to talk about like learning a language, like she doesn't know how to read books. How about that? Right now, she doesn't even know Green Eggs and Ham, and you're planning for War and Peace over here. So we got to be ready for the big one. And you've got all these little steps, and everyone wants to make that leap in one class.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We got to now move up to Goosebumps,
Yeah, start with a dictionary. Here's a dictionary. Start reading it.
Yeah, you have to figure out, like, there's so much to this. I think that's I think once you can cross that line of that's what makes this so difficult to that's what makes this so cool because it's a challenge.
Yeah.
There is really no end to it.
And they say it's like chess, but in chess,
Yeah, I get a move, you get a move. We're both
but in this,
doing.
we're doing rapid fire.
Yeah, Joe Rogan lied to us. It's not like chess.
Chess is like, okay, I'm gonna go for a choke. Now you go for an arm.
Yeah.
And you could play games like that and slow it down, but in reality, it's you can do 10 moves before I even do one.
I think the way of training that's really helped us out the most is just like you say, like kind of play a game with it. But I'm going to do this one thing, and you just react to this, and we're going to do this until we figure out every single way you can react. And then now I'm loaded.
Now you're loaded.
I know everything to expect. So at least I'm not going in there like unarmed.
So if we do that, let's say outside heel hook. Now after we tried to figure it out, now we're going to roll. But the only thing that we're able to go for are heel hooks now.
All right.
And that's what I do at Wristlocks. So I'll teach people Wristlocks, and then I'll say, okay, we're going to roll now. The first couple rolls, you can only go as Wristlocks.
And it shows people then now when you either take a lot of things away or add a lot of options, how much more open jiu-jitsu becomes anyway, or any kind of fighting. You get where, hey, we're gonna fight, but we're gonna both start with a collar tie. And you can throw any punches or kicks you want, but you can't let go of that collar tie.
There you go.
Like all of a sudden you're like, oh well, I can't do my thing. It's like, how about you figure out amazing new ways to do that thing, like up elbows from the inside, or get creative.
Yeah, it's
foot sweep and uppercut. Like there's so many options when you take things away and really break things down to their core.
Yeah, we could be like, okay, in boxing, okay, we're only allowed to jab each other. You can only use a jab today.
Yeah.
Or you could use your hands, and I can only use my legs.
I love doing the jab drill. People, all you can do is throw a jab. All right. We get about 2 rounds in. They're like, my little left arm's so tired. So that's cool. And then the smart guys, they'd already been switching stance anyway.
There you go.
I was even myself out. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you always want to try and stay balanced, but you always be better on one side usually.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, look at baseball. Not too many of the players can throw the ball with their right hand and their left hand.
Right, for sure.
But I always say get good on one side. Like half guard, for example. It's hard to be good on both sides.
Yeah, everybody's got their side. I got 2 bad sides, so that's helpful.
One side's usually an attacking side, and one side's more of a defensive side, as far as most moves. But yeah, with my half guard, like one
of
side,
mine's more like napping. The other one's more like lazy defense.
Yeah, deep half guard's good if you're. I think a shout out to Jeff Glover. If you don't do deep half guard, you should at least try it. But most people don't like being under people. They feel claustrophobic. It's
then they ask how to get out of those spots, and that's a really good way to get out of those spots.
Yeah, I think it's deep half guard can save you. It's pretty much a single leg.
Yeah,
it's as important to jiu-jitsu as a single leg is to wrestling.
So with that being said, they can get that on BJJ Fanatics. You can check out Jeff Glover on there.
He's got a
ton of videos. They have daily deals. He's got at least 3 volumes of deep half. And you're on BJJ Fanatics.
We both have a lot. I got like
20
something videos. Jeff's got 20 something. I think Danaher, Gordon, Jeff, and I have the most videos.
It's pretty cool.
Between us 4, there's like 100 and something videos at least.
So you say you got like the Wristlock Bible. You got a really good kids curriculum on BJJ Fanatics.
I got a bunch of them. I'm always making more. I'm about to go back there next month, and I'm gonna make one Wristlock white belts. So you white belts better be nice.
Nice.
Because just because you're a white belt doesn't give you the right to try and hurt someone that's a higher belt. When you look at the belt, it's more of personal development. It doesn't mean, just because he's a black belt, he can beat this guy who's a purple belt. They look at the development. A lot of these guys competing right now and winning in the pro tournaments are blue and purple belts.
Big Dan, yeah.
They're not just going to hand him a black belt.
Right.
Big Dan, when Big Dan's a black belt, they'll know. They'll see him some type of progression. And when he's progressed to that level, then he gets a black belt. But just because you beat a black belt doesn't mean you have the knowledge of a black belt. Because like I said, now the athletes are coming in. These guys that maybe would have went to football are like, you know what, Mom, I want to do jiu-jitsu.
I want to wrestle, yeah.
And before they were going to wrestling and football, but now look at Andy Varela. He's a very good athlete and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
you look at a lot of these guys.
A lot of the athletic outliers are involved in this sport now, which is crazy.
The guy that just beat him too is very good from the B team. There's a lot of good people now, and it's only going to get better. So I highly suggest, well, most of the people watching this do jiu-jitsu. But if you don't jiu-jitsu, like, what are you doing? Go join.
Yeah.
Go hang out. Go wrestle. You wrestle and grapple and do jiu-jitsu.
Tackle and grapple.
You know, I mean, it's the funnest stuff in the world. And if you know what, if someone's holding you down and you don't like it, maybe it's not for you.
Yeah.
But when these guys are holding me down,
though, like, it might tell you, oh, damn, I can't let somebody hold me down. I better learn something.
yeah, there you go.
Golly.
So it's basically an adult's playground. It's basically playing in the sandbox with all the kids and trying not to make sure anyone goes home crying. But we're adults. But yeah, people's feelings get hurt.
This is true.
And you know, you lose a match, whatever. Who cares? Good. So what? You got better. You got better. The more experience you get, the better you'll be. Maybe you get a job you didn't like, but you got experience. And that's what jiu-jitsu is about. And don't overtrain. That's the thing. If you're getting a little bit older, you got to be careful. You say Hickson's screwed up right now.
Right?
Hickson's hurt right now.
Yeah.
Because he was taking all those challenge matches when he's older.
Yep.
So when you get a little bit older, I think it's very important, if you're black belt and stuff, to get into coaching too. Even if it's not your school, whatever, volunteer or get a job at a jiu-jitsu place, because you'll see that it feels good to help people. It doesn't have to be you on the mat training every time to feel good. There's different aspects. Carlson never had major injuries because when he finished fighting, he got into coaching and with the same intensity as fighting. A lot of the guys, they're getting older and they're still trying to beat up everyone. And then that's going to be a lose-lose situation, especially getting into your 50s and stuff. And you're trying to prove a point to 22-year-olds.
I'm good. I don't have any points to prove to them.
And so that's what I get worried about with my friends.
I hear you.
Because I see them trying to beat up everyone every single day. I'm like, whoa, dude, let's do the math here. Like, how many more years can you just beat up anyone that walks in the door? So you got to be smart. You got to know how to coach the right people and have those guys be your best guys. And I think that's just the way it is. You know, it's like being a dad, right? Like you got to take care of your kids too. It can't just be all about yourself.
Well, with that, you ready to go visit the kids in the sandbox?
Yeah, I like training. I like rolling. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, you got to stay clean. You know, like I don't want to catch nothing on my no way. Take those showers right after class.
Defense soap, armbar soap,
all that stuff, or something with some eucalyptus. And don't ever neglect that. And wash your gis, wash all that stuff, and be nice to your coach. You gotta love your parents. You know, if you believe in God, love your parents. And third, it's got to be your jiu-jitsu coach. You know, that guy's not out to hurt you. He's there to help you.
Do what we can. You ready?
Cool. All right. Thanks, brother.